You have to have a new client attraction pipeline that's fully built out. Said with plain English, you have to have a team that understands how to have a reminder sequence that's built to make sure that people show up to their appointments. And then we have to follow a script and a structure to close deals at a very high rate to make the whole thing work. And most firms don't have that. Welcome to this episode of the Your Practice Mastered podcast. My name is Richard James, and today we are going to break in this concept of the one lead source that is most often overlooked, but yet used by the most successful law firms. In the quadrant of lead sources, there are a few choices, and when I built the law firm in Phoenix, the very first choice that I had was the Yellow Pages. Yeah, this was 15 years plus ago when the Yellow Pages was still a primary lead source. It worked really, really well. I knew enough how to use the inside front cover, the inside back cover, how to place strategic ads, and I understood how to track everything. The challenge was that it was slow moving. It took a long time to get the ads designed, printed, and delivered. And then once you did, you didn't know if your idea worked until it was kind of too late. And so as I was growing this firm and I needed to do things rapidly, I had to find ways to generate leads quickly. In the digital marketing realm, we took a lot of it in-house and we tried to find vendors. In between figuring that out and figuring out television, which is the other main lead source we had to use, I had to find another way to get speed. And so what I landed on was the key that I want to reveal to you today, the lead generation quadrant. And these are the four primary ways law firms can generate leads. The first is the traditional option, which newspapers, print ad, magazines, television, billboards, direct mail, all the things that would be in a traditional advertising sense that is not digital and it's not referral development. And there are lots of good things about these traditional lead sources. Yellow Pages would have been in that category. They still work some places for some industries, but they definitely don't work for law right now. And so the thing about traditional is it's oftentimes expensive to get started. There's usually high minimum order quantities, MOQs, and there's usually a lag in which you determine whether it works or not. Like if you put a direct mail piece together, you have to have it written, put it together in the envelope, figure out how to get it mailed and addressed and everything else, buy the list, and you have to mail it out, wait 7 days to figure out if it worked and what the response rate was, and then test and test and test until you find the formula that works. And so it's slow and it's arduous and it's oftentimes expensive. Once you figure it out, it usually works for a very long time. I have a bankruptcy client of ours who have been using a particular direct mail piece for literally the last 20 years, and here it is still working today with a positive ROI. The next is RDP. We call that Referral Development Program, and that's where you're purposely creating a program to develop referrals from clients and allied service professionals, other law firms or other thought leaders in your community that are sending you leads. It does oftentimes take a lot of shoe leather from the owner or the representative of the firm to go out there and build the relationships and build the referral network. And there's other ways around it now digitally that can support that. But at the end of the day, it's still about relationships and you need somebody dedicated to building that. And it does take time. The good news about it is it converts at a ridiculously high rate. There's a high level of trust and brand built of that referral development program. And once you get it going, it can be a repeatable lead source that is very inexpensive as a cost per client acquisition, a CAC, very low CAC, but very long runtime. They last for a very long time, but it does take a while to build. If you want to learn more about how to build a better lead conversion machine, or more about the LTV and the CAC process, or even just generally speaking about pay-per-leads and marketing in general for law firms, go ahead and click on the link in the show notes. It'll take you to all sorts of resources and free tools for you to acquire. And then you have digital, right? Digital is kind of where everybody is right now. Almost all the bright and shiny objects are lying in the digital world because there are so many digital agencies out there that claim they can help you get leads for your law firm, and some of them can. And that's everything from paid social, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, pay per click. It's Google My Business. It's whatever the new 800-pound gorilla is going to be 5-10 years from now. All that's true and all of it works and it's all good. But it can be challenging to find the right vendor and to get started the right way, but when you do, it can work. But if you want something that's going to be fast, effective, the number one overlooked resource for generating leads out of the lead generation quadrant, and the number one overlooked lead source inside the lead generation quadrant for law firms is by far pay per lead. Now, the reason why pay per lead is the most overlooked area is because oftentimes a law firm was convinced to buy a lead source from one of these pay-per-lead companies. Like lawyers.com was a famous one back in the day. And there's lots and lots and lots, maybe hundreds of companies that now sell leads to attorneys. Most attorneys got burned by this back in the day because they bought the leads thinking they were just like the leads they were getting from referrals or maybe from their digital website, and they're not. Because they're not branded leads, so they're not branding your firm at all. And sometimes they're not even exclusive to you. They send that same lead to multiple different firms. And so what this means is, in order for your pay-per-lead source to work, you have to have a lead conversion machine that is built inside of your firm. Said differently, you have to have a new client attraction pipeline that's fully built out. Said with plain English, you have to have a sales team. A team that understands how to convert a lead over to an appointment. They have to understand how to use a script and a structure, and they have to have systems inside to measure the inner workings of that. You have to have a sales team that understands how to have a reminder sequence that's built to make sure that people show up to their appointments. And we have to have enough capacity to set appointments within a 48-hour window. And then we have to follow a script and a structure. We teach the 19 steps to close deals at a very high rate to make sure we acquire as much money down in a fee-based firm and to make sure we get as many paid in fulls as possible so that we make the whole thing work. And most firms don't have that. But if you do have that, one of the fastest ways for you to grow your firm is by acquiring leads through this pay-per-lead model. Now, if you don't have a lead conversion machine, if you don't have a sales system, a new client attraction pipeline that's built out and optimized, and you can't get your pay-per-leads because of that, then that's telling for you, and you should really kind of go to the video where I teach you about your lead conversion machine and start watching that, because that's the thing you have to get built. Matter of fact, we'll put a link to it in the show notes for you so you can go ahead and watch that video. But if you do have your lead conversion machine built out, you have a sales structure, one of the fastest ways for you to grow and most overlooked ways for you to grow is to go out and purchase leads from these lead sources that are selling you leads. During the pandemic era, a lot of court systems went virtual that never used to be virtual. And what happened is it allowed some practice areas to go statewide. And many of those practice areas still stayed a virtual court system, and they can still be statewide. And the moment they went statewide in some of the practice areas that kind of dipped during the pandemic era, these firms that already had established sales systems could go out and buy all of the pay-per-leads from around the state, especially as other law firms were canceling their contracts. They were picking up these contracts and gathering market share because they were able to buy these leads from the pay-per-lead sources, and they were able to convert them because they have the lead conversion machine. Now, since the pandemic, things have leveled off. Some firms don't want to be statewide. They went back to their geographical regions. And so there are openings in these pay-per-lead companies. And you should put them through your lead conversion machine. You should measure how many leads you got, how many appointments set as a percentage, how many showed, how many hired, what was the client value, how much money did they put down as a percentage, so that you can understand whether these lead sources worked or they didn't work. And the ones who don't work, you jettison. And the ones who do work, you keep. But pay per lead is one of the fastest ways for you to generate business, especially for a new firm. But here's the problem. Oftentimes, new firms don't have the lead conversion machine in place. So what should you do if you're a new firm? Make sure you nail your sales process. Make sure somebody's answering the phone. Make sure somebody who's doing the selling, you, follows the 19-step process and actually closes deals at a high rate. Make sure you maximize your fees. And if you do all that, you can get an excellent, what we call lead to client conversion category. And what should that be? Well, on the lousy side of the spectrum, in a pay-per-lead scenario, you'll convert about 10% of your pay-per-leads into clients. On the incredible high side, you'll be about 35%. It's about the highest I've seen. I've seen some go a little higher, but mostly 35% of total qualified leads from the pay per lead sources will convert into actual paying clients. Most firms sit somewhere in the 20 to 25% range. And with the right pricing model, with the right collection system, with the right sales system, and you converting at that 25%, you should be able to realize an LTV to CAC ratio of around 5 or higher. LTV to CAC, it means we're taking the lifetime client value of the client, dividing it by the cost of the client. So the cost to acquire the client is simply how much did I spend before I acquired a client? If I spent $5,000 on pay per lead this month and I got 5 clients, it cost me $1,000 a client. You get the simple math. So I make that simple calculation and I determine my LTV to CAC ratio. And as long as it's north of a 3, we're in good shape. And if it's north of a 5, it's really, really strong. And so you should be able to get a solid LTV to CAC ratio with your pay per lead source if you have a solid sales system in place to maximize your conversion. If you want to learn more about how to build a better lead conversion machine, or more about the LTV and the CAC process, or even just generally speaking about pay per leads and marketing in general for law firms, go ahead and click on the link in the show notes. It'll take you to all sorts of resources and free tools for you to acquire. We're happy to walk alongside of you and give you what you need so you can take your firm to the next level. For today, let's go out and build your firm stronger and grow to the next level by utilizing one of the most underrated sources out there, the pay per lead quadrant. And in order to do that, let's make sure that our sales process is tight. If you do this, you'll put your firm on the path to building one that's run by systems that supports your lifestyle, managed by people, and eventually, if you so choose, want to be able to sell at the highest possible multiple. This system is essential for you to get there. Go out, fix your lead conversion machine, and go get yourself some new pay per lead sources.